Hello, I would like to thank you all for coming to this evening's presentation by Chuck Streightiff, who is Huntingdon Police Chief. He's here to give us a talk on keeping kids safe on the internet. I will have material for you at the end of the presentation. For those of you watching online, please contact the library and give us your email address or your home address, and we will get the material to you. Mr. Chuck Streightiff.
Thank you. Just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Chuck Streightiff. I'm the Chief of Police of the Huntingdon Borough Police Department, and I've been asked to come and present a presentation on internet safety for parents, guardians, and communities in regards to their children. A little bit about myself. This is year 24-25 for me in law enforcement. I started my career out in Hagerstown, Maryland, where I worked patrol, narcotics and gangs, and then I came back home. I am a resident here of Huntingdon, and I've been here at the Huntingdon Borough Police Department since 2007. I'm working both patrol, criminal investigations, and now serving in the capacity of Chief of Police. So with this presentation, we hope to provide participants with helpful information, prevention tools to protect their children, and share best practices to respond to their child if something happens online. We are humans, and we are all doing our best. We need to make sure we don't feel bad if we do not react the way that we think that we should, or that the children think that we should. The most important thing to remember is that we as parents, guardians, and community are here to support and protect our children. The goals of this presentation are to open and support continuing conversation about healthy relationships, accurate information, red flags, helping adults to aid children in developing critical skills such as empathy, critical thinking, problem solving, rejection skills, reaching out for help, how to report instances that happen online, teaching us as adults to be in a position where we be trusted by children, and also teaching others to be what we call upstanders. So this presentation was put together and created by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is in Virginia. We can abbreviate that and call that NCMEC. The National Center's mission is to find missing children, reduce child sexual exploitation, and prevent future victimization. One of their programs, actually many of their programs, it's geared for children in grades K through 12. And their program is called NetSmarts. So it teaches children ages 5 to 7 about how to make better choices online and become responsible digital citizens. It guides parents protecting the children online and offers a variety of free resources, including games, videos, classroom lessons, and presentations like this one. NCMEC is really the epitome or the expert in these type of programs, as well as providing free services for all entities. You can find additional resources through NCMEC at their website. It's missingkids.org /NetSmarts. Or if you just go to missingkids.org, there's different files and tags that you can choose to find the information that you're looking for. And again, all that information is free. It's open to parents, schools. They can actually, educators can use their programs for curriculum development, for digital citizenship, again, and it's age appropriate grades K through 12. So first question we need to ask ourselves, what do your children do online? Are we aware of what's taking place? What are your kids currently interested in online? It's important as parents or guardians, community members, school officials, whether you're an educator or administrator, to become familiar with different apps, games, and websites that our children are using and are exposed to. The other thing we need to keep in mind that both online activity and offline activity are all interconnected. They're no longer disconnected. Years ago, children used to be separated by boundaries. With the development of the internet and social apps and gaming systems, all of our children are now interconnected. So it could be a matter of Being separated by a mile, they're still connected. They can be separated by thousands of miles and they're still connected. Do we really know what our children are doing online? It's a recurring question that we just need to keep in mind. And you will hear terms throughout this presentation that are repeated over and over again, and that's just so that we're really honing in on exactly what it is we should be doing as parents and guardians. So it's important to become familiar again with the different apps, games, websites, and also the privacy settings on each of those tools or resources these kids are using. And then we need to start thinking about what is the best way to protect our children. So we need to start having meaningful, open, and continuous conversations that teach our kids how to develop critical thinking, rejection, and how to be comfortable with saying and hearing no. And that goes for both parents and kids. As parents, we don't want to be in a position where we're second guessing our choices and how we discipline or the rules that we set. We always want to make sure that we're doing what's best for our kids and making sure they're protected and supported throughout their youth. So developing our social, emotional, behavioral skills, and these skills will help our kids make better choices, build problem-solving abilities, and develop healthy relationships moving forward. Thinking about what our kids are doing online, what do our children like to use? So what type of apps, games, or internet outlets are our children using, or what are you familiar with your children? What are you familiar with your children using? So it could be social media apps like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Yik Yak. YouTube is big with our youth. There are different filter settings on YouTube. Are we actually going in and making sure that those filters are set for age-appropriate material? What happens with our children when they start exploring online? One click can lead down a bad path. A bad internet address could lead down a bad path. Are we actually monitoring what's taking place? Do we have a watchful eye? Are we able to hear the communication that's taking place when our kids are playing our online games, such as PlayStation, Xbox, the Nintendos? Are the kids just having their headsets on and we're unsure of what they're saying or what people are saying to them? What is the context of those conversations? So during the course of our kids interacting with these different social media apps or games and stuff, they could come into contact with unsolicited friend requests. Again, I said about the mics and the headphones. Are we aware of exactly what those communication and conversations are? Different things to start thinking about. So again, what are our children doing online? Are we actually aware of what's taking place? So today we're not going to go through every website and app that your child might happen to fall into. We would be here probably for days because there's many that's available online. But it is important to get familiar with and learn about different apps, especially the most popular ones. That alone will keep our children safe not from every risk, but we can reduce the exposure that they have to the online presence. Again, the reality is that both the online and offline interaction with our kids are intertwined. There's a Thorne's data which shows that 1 in 3 youth that their closest relationships are formed online. That's actually, to me, a very scary statistic. So 1 out of every 3 kids are forming friendships, their closest friendships, based off of an online contact and not an in-person contact. So the best way to protect your child is to have meaningful, open, and continuous conversations that teach them how to develop critical thinking as well as rejection, how to say no to unwanted solicitations, social and behavioral skills, and these skills will help them make better and good choices and build problem-solving abilities and develop healthy relationships moving forward. So online. Throughout this presentation, we're going to talk about ways you can protect your children online, no matter how they access the internet. So what are some ways that our children access the internet? School. Obviously, a lot of the curriculum packages are now internet-based. Computers, whether it be in your home, whether it be on their phones, their friends' phones, and their friends' homes, other family members' homes, gaming systems. Basically, anything you can think of is now connected online. It used to be, that maybe every once in a while you would just do a dial-up into AOL or Earthlink. Now it's everything is interconnected. A lot of times you hear parents say, I don't understand the apps that are out there. I don't know the games. I don't know the language or the lingo, the abbreviations. It's our job as parents, guardians, and community members to make ourselves aware. Because how can we effectively be monitoring what our kids are doing online if we're not fully aware of what's available to them? Or if we're overhearing conversations, if we don't fully understand exactly what's being said, are we actually being proactive in protecting our kids? So if you don't know, I would suggest going on to a site that's provided like NCMEC and find out exactly, what those terminology, what those terms are, what the online resources are, and what our kids are seeing online. So we want, again, to hone in and make sure that we begin at an early age with our kids, as young as 5. The younger the better. It's easier to start talking and with kids about different terms at a younger age and continue that as they get older. But we want to show that we're there to support them, that if they do make a mistake, that we're going to help them, and that they're not going to be in trouble. A lot of times that's why kids are afraid to come to a trusted adult and report something bad that's happened because they're afraid that they're going to be in trouble. So we want to realize that if something happens online, if a child becomes exposed to inappropriate content, if they receive an unsolicited message from somebody they don't know online, if they receive a picture that was or that wasn't requested, they're victims. And we need to make sure we treat them as such, and we're there to support them and guide them and provide them the resources that they need. Technology can't catch everything, so communicate. And you're going to hear communicate over and over and over again. That is the key. NCMEC talks about a good example of beginning to speak to children at a young age when you think about driving and learning to drive. So from an early age, we teach kids that they got to be buckled in a car seat, and we talk about the reason why. So if you're involved in an accident, they don't get hurt. We do that, all through their youth as they're getting older. So over and over and over again, communicate. And then as they start reaching the age of 16 and we start developing into getting our driver's permit, our driver's license, we start talking about the rules of the road and why we need to obey traffic signs or traffic signals, and why the laws are the way that they are. It's easy to start at the very beginning at a young age and talk about that, and the kids internalize that information, and it's not new information to them. It provides an easier platform to be able to talk to them, and that there's no question. It develops an open communication between parents and children, parents and guardians, community and children. They know that you are there to openly speak with them and that you're there to support and provide services for them. So kids want to hear about these topics from parents and caregivers. Believe it or not, get my notes here. Believe it or not, parents and adults think that kids don't want to have in-depth conversations, that they don't want to hear a parent's opinion, or they don't want their parents' advice. But the statistics and the data show that children really want to hear what their parents have to say, what their opinions are, and it helps them form sound, good, positive choices moving forward.
From a child's perspective, growing up with somebody like yourself, it's for parents, it's a huge thing to have the ability to just listen and have an open dialogue, because at the end of the day, children don't have anybody to ask about how life works. They're just thrown into this crazy world and they have no idea how to interact with it and interpret it. And they need somebody like a parent, whether it's their parent or somebody else's, to help them learn that and understand that. And if you're not providing that to your kid, they're gonna have some problems online, right? That's just the name of the game.
Okay, in that video, it was actually a mother and son, and the team was expressing that children want their caregivers, their parents or their guardians, to talk to them about safety and risk. Children want to hear about these issues from you. They don't want to hear about it from strangers. If they have specific questions about anything, about bodies, about relationships, if they don't get the answers from you, they're going to get it from somebody else. And what's really scary with the amount of resources that they have to go online, they're going to be searching online, because if they don't have a trusted adult to go to, the other resource they have is online. Can we believe everything that we see and hear online? And the answer is no. So if you're able to sit and have those early conversations with your kids at an early age, it makes it easier as they get older, because they start, or they develop that trust and that bond with you. So those difficult conversations that sometimes parents don't want to have, it just makes it easier to have later in life if you start at an early age. When we talk about having those difficult conversations, whether it be about relationships, whether it be about intimate relationships, it's also very important to remember to use correct terminology for different things, whether it be for body parts or anything really. Because what will happen if people are using slang or nicknames, if there will be a criminal act, it makes it very difficult for an individual in my profession to start determining what exactly that youth is talking about, if they're using a nickname or a slang term for a body part or an act. So my biggest piece of advice when speaking with youth, especially starting at a younger age, is using correct terminology. It helps me on my end, should I be involved in investigation, and it's good for the youth and the family to have that open and honest communication. And again, it's adults, but parents, school officials, and community members. It's very difficult to have those very intimate and difficult conversations. There's never a right or wrong to it, but it's very important that we definitely have those conversations. The good news is that most children are not getting into trouble online, but there are still risks to consider. So the online risks that we'd be looking at would be inappropriate content. As I said earlier, one click can lead down a bad path. If somebody enters the wrong web address, it could go to an explicit site. Online privacy. Do we have the privacy settings appropriately set? Think about Facebook. Is your Facebook profile just wide open to the public for anybody to see? Do you have your telephone number on there? Do you have your address on there? Are your pictures geotagged? A lot of times, if people, just for example, if I was on an investigation and I happen to get onto Facebook for research and I pull up a profile and it's completely open to the public, most of the time people will have their email address in there, they'll have a phone number that's in there. Sometimes they have a home address in there, their date of birth is in there. You're opening yourself up to a wide range of potentially identity theft or scams. Pictures are a giveaway for a lot of information. A lot of times pictures are geotagged with location data. So I can actually pull the picture up and find out where exactly that picture was taken. Some people have posted pictures online in front of their homes where there's a street sign. And then if you look at the house, there's the street number. So even if their address wasn't posted online, it's captured in the picture. Some other online risks, online enticements. So when we talk about unsolicited friend requests on gaming systems, on any type of social media app, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, sexting, sextortion, and cyberbullying. We're going to talk about all of these moving forward. So the risk at every age. This chart shows how you can talk to children about online risk in an age-appropriate way. Again, we talked about this before. You should start talking about online manners, or NCMEC refers to it as netiquette. They take it off, etiquette. So online etiquette, with your youngest children, so you have a good foundation for later lessons about issues like cyberbullying. You can start talking to your tweens about not posting revealing pictures, and evolve into frank discussions about sexting when they become teenagers. And then you can talk to young children about not trusting everyone they meet online by the time their teens are ready to discuss the risk of meeting offline. So again, we're talking about making sure we're starting at an early age and talking about really the rules of the road with online systems, and then moving forward from young youth to tweens to teenagers and young adults. Everything is not as it seems online. Don't trust everything you see and hear. So the youth brain is not fully developed until the age of 26. So most of the time, the risk factor for children is not there. So they're looking for the immediate gratification. And the predators online are going to prey on that. So, we don't think that younger children are really preyed upon as much as tweens and teens, but they are, and they can be subjected to just as much material as the older children. Remember that the skills your child needs to practice safe behaviors online are skills built over time. Again, going back to the whole talk at an early age and continue to talk as your child progresses into their tweens and teens and young adults. And we talked about the driving example of how we start talking about the importance of being belted in a car and continuing to talk about that up until age of 16 or beyond when they get their driver's license and permit, and then we start talking about the rules of the road and building upon what we've already talked about. Same thing with online risks. Start out young, talk about what your expectations are, etiquette, looking at inappropriate content, pop-up passwords, not trusting everyone to meet online, and then moving into the teens and tweens and teens, and then starting to talk about cyberbullying, sexting, posting personal and inappropriate information, and meeting offline. Okay, one of the programs that NCMEC runs, and this would be for the younger youth, is a program called Into the Cloud. It's a cartoon series that is available for parents or school officials to use for digital citizenship and to talk about really being responsible individuals and children when we're using online features.
What are you doing here?
Oh, hi, Webster.
Hey, what's wrong?
Go ahead, Zion. You can tell them. They're NetSmart's kids. They might know a way to help.
Okay, so remember how I showed you some of my pins? Well, like I said, that was only some of them. I've got tons. I have a whole video channel dedicated to them. I do unboxings, ratings, cleanings, stuff like that. But I also stream myself playing video games. I've got a good number of followers. Sometimes they're playing the same game as me, and we work together on a level. Or I do a live stream and people message to ask for tips or tricks. Just normal stuff like that. But then, the other day, I got this direct message from someone in the game chat. I didn't recognize the username, but they said they had a picture of me. A really embarrassing picture of me doing something I probably shouldn't have done on live stream. But I was just goofing off. I only mooned the camera because my followers dared me to. They said it'd be funny, so I did it. And this person had a screenshot picture of it. They said they'd send it to all of my followers if I didn't send them 10,000 goldies. You've got to be really good to get goldies, so sometimes people buy them or sell them. But that amount is impossible. It took me a year just to get the 600 I have now.
Wow, I'm really sorry that happened to you. Did you report them?
No, I couldn't. See, when I messaged back and asked them to delete the picture, they said no. Not until I paid the goldies. Then, when I said I'd report them, they said that I'd be the one in trouble and that they'd send the picture anyway.
Have you told anyone else about this?
Well, now I've told you, plus Harold. I can't tell my dad. He'll get mad at me. So when I needed a trusted adult, I thought of Harold. He's our neighbor, and he's always been really nice to me. I just want to get that picture down and go back to normal.
I bet. But you know, once something's online, it's hard to control where it goes.
That's why I'm so stressed out. What am I gonna do?
Well, you've taken the first step by asking for help. I still think you should report this person. The way they threaten you is not okay.
He's right. You can report what happened directly to the site's safety team. Almost all sites have them. They may have a way to get the picture off their server.
I looked into that. The safety team and server for my channel is all the way out on Latest, which is, also...
So as you can see in that particular video, it's well suited for younger children. There are other slides that NCMEC has and there are resources for older children, but it just shows how simple it is and how easy it is for a perpetrator to contact a child through a gaming system and what can happen should a contact be made and a picture be sent. And basically what this was a good example of a sextortion incident, which in Pennsylvania in 2019, there was legislation that was signed by the Wolf administration that made sextortion a crime. And depending on the age of the victim, or when we talk about diminished mental capacity, it would make it either a misdemeanor or a felony upon conviction. So I would suggest, again, if anybody has any interest in looking at those programs or using those programs, again, they're free. If you go to missingkids.org, to the NCMEC site, you'll be able to access all that information. And there's different seasons for that particular series that you just saw. So why start conversations when they're young? So why talk to your kids at a younger age? It builds a strong relationship foundation. It develops trust between you and your child. It be more comfortable talking about uncomfortable topics. We already discussed, some, topics as, parents and speaking to kids are difficult. I'm a parent, I will say it's uncomfortable, but there are conversations that you need to have. They help you develop your child's critical thinking and problem solving skills, and it supports your child's development of resiliency. They know that you're there to support them no matter what. These conversations will help your child stay safe online and offline. So as we mentioned in the previous slides, again, we need to have continuous open conversations with our children and start these conversations at a younger age. And I'm going to keep saying that over and over and over again. So let's start talking to our children about the uncomfortable interactions online with specific examples. So some of the conversation starters could be, have you received a comment, post, or picture, video, or chat from someone that made you feel uncomfortable? Have any of your friends' behavior online or offline made you feel uncomfortable? And why? So why did it make you feel uncomfortable? Ask them, what did you do? Ask them open-ended questions. You don't want to ask them a question where they just give you a yes or no answer. Asking the open-ended questions makes them expand their discussions with you, and you'll be really amazed of the territory you'll cover just by asking those open-ended questions. And if you start running out of questions to ask, a good follow-up would be after they would answer or respond to something, you could just respond easily by saying, could you tell me more about that? Or just like one of the questions that they posted here, how did that make you feel? Make sure that they know that if they feel uncomfortable coming to you as a parent, don't take it as an insult. They may be embarrassed. I always, when I'm talking with kids, I always make sure that they have two trusted adults that they can go to. And sometimes when I'm speaking with the kids, those two trusted adults, neither one of them are a parent. It could be a guidance counselor. It could be an older sibling. It could be a teacher. It could be a minister. But I always make sure that they have two trusted adults that they can go to at any given time. We also need to allow our children to come up with their own solutions and always ask why and how. When children propose and think of solutions on their own, it is easier for them to remember and practice them. Some other things that we could ask our kids about online activity is, what would you do if you received a new friend request from somebody your age and you didn't know who it was? Do we actually know if that person is the same age as the child? We don't. You don't know who is on the other side of that screen. And that's the scary part. So we just need that open communication and always ask the questions. Inappropriate content. So when we talk about inappropriate content online, we're talking about pornography, exposure to excessive violence, which I always say it's like excessive violence. You see that almost in everything anymore on TV, even in cartoons. I even go back to Tom and Jerry. We may not have thought about it when we were watching it as kids, but it's filled with violence and the hate speech, risky or illegal behaviors. When we look at excessive violence, again, it makes me think of when you go shopping and trying to meet dress code for school districts and trying to find clothing that fits in that dress code. You can't do it anymore. Whether the jeans have the rips in it, or the shirts are cut too short, or there's no sleeves. It's everywhere, and it's very difficult. The same thing with excessive violence with content online. It's very hard not to find something that doesn't have that. So being a trusted adult, what makes us trusted adults? Whether it be a parent, a guardian, a teacher, an administrator, someone in our church. Being a trusted adult means that we're listening without judgment or shame. Again, we always want to support our kids and make sure that they understand that we're there to provide support and resources for them. Being a trusted adult means that we're going to help and take action, that we're going to remain calm when a child reaches out. So, question on the remain calm. If your child came to you today and said, I made a mistake, I sent an inappropriate picture of myself to someone and they shared it with 10 other people, how are you going to react? Or, Mom, Dad, I was on the internet today and I clicked into this site and this is what I saw. Are you going to flip out? Are you going to yell on screen? Or are you going to remain calm and allow your child to explain what exactly happened? Being a trusted adult means that we're going to respect their boundaries, that we're going to help them identify other trusted adults they can reach out to, and that we're going to be kind to ourselves and understand that it's okay to have strong emotions, but we're going to try to remain calm. It's okay for freaking out inside. That's you being human. But when a child is in a crisis, and this is a crisis, we need to make sure that we're being that strong, calm front for them so that they can come to us at any given time and know that we're going to be there to support and provide them the resources that they need. So what can you do? You don't want to overreact. We don't want to yell and scream, so we don't want to frighten them. But we want to listen attentively and stay calm. A lot of times, if you're going to freak out or overreact or get angry, be frustrated, you're not going to hear anything that your child's trying to say, and that child's going to completely shut down. But if we remain calm and we show that we're actively listening to what they're saying, don't be afraid to repeat and say, just so I understand what you're saying, this is what I heard. If I get it wrong, then please correct me. The child will understand that you're there to help them, that they're not in trouble. Remember that in these instances, these children are victims, whether they were exposed to inappropriate content, whether they sent a picture, they are victims. And we need to treat them as such and make sure that we're not victimizing them again. Tell them it's not their fault. If they have questions, answer them. If you don't know the answers to their questions, tell them you don't know the answers to the questions, but you're either going to find the resources for them to answer them, or you're going to find the individual, whether it be law enforcement or somebody at the National Center, who are able to answer those specific questions for them. And then also, we want to make sure that we're going to help them report any incident that happened, whether it be inappropriate content or a picture that ended up being distributed or uploaded online. What should they do? What should the child do? They need to turn off the screen, use the back button, tell a trusted adult. They should not feel ashamed. They should feel as though that if something happened online, that they had a resource or someone, a trusted adult, that they can go to and report what had happened. Report the incident to the website or the app. A lot of websites and apps have, there's 3 buttons usually up in the left upper corner or the up right corner, where it has a report button. You can report inappropriate content, harassment, and then also NCMEC has a cyber tip line, cybertipline.org, that you can report these instances to as well. NCMEC will take all that information. They will, if it's an image, they will assist in removing that image, and they will also report to law enforcement and get you the resources that you need. So what can you do together? So we talked about privacy settings. Are your social media outlets wide open to the public, or do you have them locked down? Blocking. Most of the time with the social media apps, whether it be the texting apps, there's avenues to go and block individuals so that they can't communicate from you or they can't see your information, and report it. So work together, work as a parent guardian with our children to adjust privacy settings, to block inappropriate content or individuals, and also report it. So inappropriate content, inappropriate or illegal behavior. So that could be if you saw a TikTok where underage individuals are partaking in drugs or alcohol, offensive language, threats of violence, underage drinking or drug use, and hate speech. That all classified under inappropriate content, and it's everywhere. It could be in chat sessions on games. It can be on social media platforms. It can be on YouTube and TikTok videos. If you see it, report it. Online privacy. So we talk about those privacy settings. What's okay and what's not okay. So we talk about pictures of family and friends. Is it okay to post pictures of family and friends? Yeah, sure. Just make sure that the privacy settings are set so that the geotag location information on pictures isn't there or accessible. I would not be taking pictures of the front of your house that display the address, or that a street sign could be visible. Personal information. Is it okay to post your personal information online? Address, phone numbers. The answer is going to be no. Conversations with unknown people in an online game would not be okay. Creating videos on streaming services. Could be, depending on the content. Checking in or sharing current location online, I would say no. With doing that, people are going to, argue that you're on vacation and exactly where you're at may be able to locate you. Sending, viewing, or sharing explicit and provocative pictures, the answer is absolutely not. So what is personal information online? Passwords, home address, location, home cell phone number, and email address. Any one of those. Passwords, if you post your passwords or other individuals have access to your passwords, it opens the door for other individuals to have access to all of your information. Your home address, obviously you don't want to post your home address or your location, or even your home cell phone number, home or cell phone number, because simple searches online are able to give Google Map directions right to where you're at. Email addresses, you can search for those online as well. If there's enough information that's been gathered online from your information you have on available and open to the public, a predator may be able to take your email address and find out exactly where your home address is. So risk of sharing personal information. Youth run the risk of cyberbullying, online enticement, sextortion, hacking, stalking, identity theft, and online scams. So what can you do? As a parent or guardian, you can establish rules about what they can share. Review the apps, games, social media platforms that your children are using, and set those privacy settings. Have an open discussion with those youth as to what your expectations are, what is okay and what's not. Learn about reporting options, whether it be reporting it to the police, reporting it to the website, reporting it to NCMEC. Help them set the privacy settings. Help them create strong passwords. Do not use your birthday. Do not use your street name. Create a unique, strong password that no one would have access to. Talk about friend lists. As a parent with a younger child, my child's only allowed to have an approved friend list in which myself and his mother approve of. If there's a friend on there that we don't recognize, we're asking questions, or it's blocked and deleted. And create a safety plan. Safety plan could be, I'll use my example. When my daughter got her first phone, it was if I ever had cause to look at text messages or online content, I had free reign to do so. I knew the password to all social media platforms and also the cell phone itself. If there was ever an instance where my child felt unsafe, they could come and talk to me. And then there was also approval of what they could access and what they could not. There are also different tools that you can install on different devices, so cell phones, laptops, your gaming systems, that enable you to monitor it without actually physically having the phone. I have those features for my children. So I'm able to see who they're texting, who they're calling, what apps they're using. I approve what's permissible and not. So it depends on each parent, but as a parent, you should be looking at these topics here and establishing what works for you and your family. So we talk about online enticement. What exactly is that? Online enticement involves an individual communicating with someone believed to be a child via the internet with the intent to commit a sexual offense or abduction, and includes sextortion. And we may be a small town here in Huntington of about 7,000 residents, but it happens here. So there is no one that is untouchable in regards to online enticement. I have investigated crimes that involve that. And how do solicitations occur? Most occur on social networking sites. So again, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Most occur among older teens. Most teens are solicited by their peers, and most are not bothered by it. Most of our teens are desensitized. They don't care. We talk about that developmental stage of the brain, and the brain's not fully developed until the age of 26. They're not concerned about the risk factor, they're concerned about the immediate gratification. So offenders groom children by exploiting their natural curiosity. Again, children aren't concerned about that risk factor. If someone is continuously giving them attention or approval or saying, you look really nice all the time, they're going to continue to want that immediate gratification. Gradually introducing explicit images, using adult status to control a child's behavior, and offering gifts like cell phone and gift cards. Groomers or these predators will also target a child's family. So just as the children are getting gifts, the groomers, if known by family members, will also provide those family members with gifts as well to get the confidence and support of the parent, with the parent or guardian not knowing that they're actually grooming the child with intent to commit a crime. So grooming, someone trying to groom a child might flatter them, send them gifts, discuss inappropriate adult subjects such as dating or sex, ask them to keep secrets, turn them against family and friends, share or ask for revealing images, blackmail them, make them feel guilty or ashamed, and ask them to meet face to face. Again, we need to have those open conversations with our kids and know what is going on online. Ask those questions. I wouldn't allow the kids to have the headphones on. I would want to hear what those conversations are. Are they actually talking to other friends that they know online, or are they talking to a stranger who is asking for personal information? Are they offering to send them gifts? Do they want to know the address? Are they asking for your phone number or your email address? Are they asking to meet face to face? Signs of grooming. Check if your child is calling unknown numbers, receiving gifts, minimizing their screen when you come into a room, getting upset when they're not online, or rejecting family and friends. These are all red flags that we should be concerned about. And if any of these are red flagging for you and your family, I would start asking those questions. What's going on? Who are you talking to? Why do you seem so upset? Why are you minimizing the screen? Can I see what you're looking at? What interests you online? So what can you do? Talk to your child about relationships. Set a policy about meeting offline for older teens. Know your child's online friends. Teach your child the warning signs. Call the police or report to the cyber tip line at cybertipline.org at NCMEC. Do not be afraid to ask the questions. So kids are capable. Chat logs, if you have those, if a child comes to you and says, hey, I have this unsolicited message, this is the content, they're asking for pictures, or I sent a picture, now this is what's happening. That can all be reported to NCMEC Cyber Tip Line. Again, that's cybertipline.org. If you're not comfortable reporting to the police or you feel ashamed, NCMEC can do that for you. You can report to NCMEC and the police. You can report to the police. There are different avenues to pursue. And it doesn't have to be a parent or a guardian that reports. The child also has the ability to do that as well. So report to the cyber tip line. Anyone who sends your child photos or videos containing obscene content, anyone who asks your child to send sexual images, anyone speaking to your child in a sexual manner, anyone who asks your child to meet in person. That can all be reported to the cyber tip line at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Sexting. I know we've heard about it. Again, this is Huntingdon. People think things don't happen here. This happens. We don't ever want to shame our youth who become involved in a situation like this. A lot of times, I hear parents and guardians, they're coming down on their children because of sending inappropriate pictures. We need to support and talk to our youth. We don't need to criticize their actions. As long as we remain calm, listen to what they say, and we strategize as to how we're going to handle, report, and provide services for our youth who are victims of this type of incident. So sexting involves sending or posting nude or partially nude images. So research suggests that 19.3% of teens have texted, and 34.8% of teens say that they have received a text. The 19.3% seems low, but when you look at the 34.8% of teens say they've received a text, that's a high number. So it is happening, and it has happened here. Again, our job is to support our youth if that would happen to them. Why are they sexting? To be funny, to impress a crush, peer pressure, or threats. Experimenting with relationships, sexual behavior, and boundaries. And it happens really quickly. It could be a simple text as, what do you want me to do? And the response is, send me a picture, pic of yourself. You know, sitting here as parents and guardians and community members, what do you think your youth is going to do? Your photo, your fate. As soon as you send it out there, do you know exactly what's going to happen to it? Is it going to be deleted by the individual that it was sent to, the recipient? Or is it going to be shared to 20 other different people who share it to 20 other people? What exactly is going to happen?
You probably get lots of messages every day, but what if you got one like this? What would you do? Would you send a picture? No? Cool. That's an easy way to protect yourself. But what if you'd chosen differently? What if you send a picture? They'd never share it with anyone else, right? Do you want the picture shared with others? Sorry, you no longer have a choice. It's out of your hands now, because sometimes people we trust break that trust. Maybe the person you sent the picture to shows it to some friends. Maybe they send it to a couple friends, who send it to a couple more friends, who, you get the idea. It spreads, and you never know who might see it. Your little brother, your mom, people at school. That happens to me. Even strangers can get a hold of your picture. You never really know where that picture will end up. How long it will be out there, or what the consequences will be. Don't let others decide what happens to your image. Think before you share. Learn more at netsmarts.org. And hey, if your image is already out there, know that it's not your fault. For information about removing sexual pictures and videos from the internet, visit missingkids.org/gethelpnow.
Okay, so what are some of the consequences for sharing a photo online? It could be lost from its place. It could be shared without permission. It could become a source of embarrassment, shame, guilt. It could cause rumors, gossip, and cyberbullying, and there could be legal consequences. Again, I'll just go back and say we've had these particular types of incidents happen here. We've investigated them. We take them very seriously. Our main goal is making sure that we're protecting our victim and providing them the resources and support services that they need. We go back to that video. What was the very first choice that was made in the video? Was it the choice of the boy sending the text asking for the picture, or was it the choice of the girl actually responding with the picture back? What were the other decisions that were made in the video? Obviously, the sharing of the video, the rumors and the gossip, and then there were some students who decided not to share. What would have been the better choice? So if you have two youth who are texting and communicating, and one youth asks for a intimate picture of the other, what would be the better choice? Would it be just to block the individual, say no, stop communicating? How could sharing that photo be damaging? If you think about your own child, and they shared intimate picture of themselves and they got shared to other individuals. Think about what that's going to do to them and what they're going to be facing moving forward. How are we going to be there to support them? And what are we going to do to get them the services that they need? So again, we need to make sure that we're talking to our kids about healthy relationships. Is that a healthy relationship when you have two youth communicating and one is peer pressuring the other into sending inappropriate content, whether it be a picture, whether it be information about somebody else? Could it be sending some type of written statement about somebody that's demeaning and then that information is shared? That is not a healthy relationship. So we need to think about how it not only affects our kids, but our kids also need to think about how their actions would affect somebody else and themselves. Again, we're dealing with the brain development not being fully developed until age 26. So the more we talk about our kids, even though they're not assessing the risk factors and they're looking for that immediate gratification, as long as we're having an open communication and teaching our kids what healthy relationships and healthy communication looks like, they'll have a foundation moving forward and know that that's not appropriate. So the consequences of sexting, humiliation, bullying, blackmail, school discipline, police involvement. And how do we address that? We start by having these conversations early. We give real life examples. We talk about what the consequences would be, discuss those healthy relationships, talk about ways an image can spread online, talk about the resharing. It's just not one person, it can be shared to multiple. And if this situation happens, we can always report to the police or report to the cyber tip line through NICMEC. Sextortion goes in line with sexting. So sextortion is sort of taking this step further. To form a child sexual exploitation where children are threatened or blackmailed, most often with the possibility of sharing with the public nude or sexual images of them by a person who demands additional sexual content, sexual activity, or money from the child. This crime may happen when a child has shared an image with somebody. This is an example of sextortion. What do you think your child would do if that happened to them? Would they feel ashamed? Would they feel like, I can't go tell my parents, I need to go to Rite Aid and get that gift card? Having those open communications and showing your child that they have a trusted adult or somebody that they can go and talk to will help them make the right decision. Or if they make the wrong decision, they know who they can go to provide them with the resources that they need moving forward. So what can you do as a child? Do not comply with the demands. Report it to the app. Do not delete the account. What NICMEC is going to want, or what the police are going to want, is information from that account that shows the communication. So you can visit missingkids.org, /get help now, /is your explicit content out there. If you've shared a explicit image or content, you can go to that website link so you can see if that is being shared through the web. And then you can also report the incident to the cybertipline.org or contact your local police or state police. Bullying and technology equals cyberbullying. We all heard about bullying in school. That is confined to one location, whereas cyberbullying follows the child. So examples of cyberbullying: sending mean text, photoshopping pictures, creating fake profiles, catfishing, posting fight videos, spreading rumors and gossip, posting or resharing embarrassing or inappropriate pictures, sending threatening and harassing comments, and harassing or stalking. With cyberbullying, it's relentless. It continues to happen over and over and over. There is no outlet for the child to step away from it. The difference between cyberbullying and bullying, it follows the child home, it spreads faster. Obviously, again, we talked about the children in the past having physical boundaries that they weren't able to contact individuals beyond a certain radius. Now with the availability of the internet and the different devices, whether it be cell phones, gaming systems, laptops, computers, they're connected instantaneous. It could be, thousands of miles of separation, they're still connected, and there's a wider audience. Cyberbullying may cause depression, inability to think clearly, anxiety, substance abuse, running away, loneliness, social isolation, and low self-esteem. A cyberbullying victim might stop using the computer or cell phone. They may act nervous when receiving an email, an IM, or text, seem uneasy about going to school, or withdraw from family and friends. These are all red flags. Again, if you're noticing any of these in your own family home, it opens the dialogue for communication. What's going on? I see that you're upset. Can you tell me, why you're feeling that way? What can I do to help? There's 4 different avenues in regards to cyberbullying. So you have the cyberbully, you have the victim, you have an upstander, and you have a bystander. So what can you do? Support your child and problem solve together. Again, open dialogue, open communication, being that trusted adult. Consider saving the evidence. That helps law enforcement. It would help school officials. You can block them. You can set up new accounts. You can talk to the school. And again, you can report it to the cybertechline.org. Cyberbullying behaviors. Quickly switches between screens or closes program. These are going to be the behaviors you're going to see and with your children. Use the computer at all hours. Gets unusually upset if they cannot use their computer. Avoids discussions about what they are doing and uses multiple online accounts. How to prevent. Monitor and intervene in your child's online behavior in the same way you would offline behavior. Know what your child is doing. Again, those headphones with gaming systems, you have no idea of the conversations that are taking place. You're only hearing one side of the conversation, and that's going to be your child talking into the mic. Take the headphones off, turn the sound on. It may be an annoyance, but at least you know exactly what both sides of the conversation are. Ask questions. Ask who the friends are on the friend list. Establish expectations for online and offline behavior. Set consequences for cyberbullying. Model good online and offline behavior. Talk to your child about being an upstander. What is an upstander? An upstander is someone who's going to be there to either stop the cyberbullying from happening or supporting the individual who is a victim of the cyberbullying. So we can teach our children to establish expectations in the reporting process. So if you're an upstander and you know somebody's being cyberbullying, report it. Stand up for the victim. Help them report the cyberbullying to an adult or teacher. Talk to your child about not forwarding mean or inappropriate content about another person. This happens all the time. Are you going to be the individual who is doing the bullying? Or are you going to fall subject to being the victim of the bullying? Are you going to be an upstander and say, this isn't happening anymore, supporting the victim or confronting the bully themselves and reporting? Or are you going to be the bystander and just allow it to happen and know what's happening? So tech options in regards to your different social media devices, your internet devices, install filtering and monitoring software. There's many that are out there. NCMEC will not recommend any particular one, nor will we as law enforcement. There are many that are out there. Many cell phone providers have their own content on their phones that parents can use. Google has Family Link. I use that one. It enables you to see what your child's doing as far as online screen time, who they're messaging, who they're calling. They need approval if you have the right setting for different apps, games, website addresses. You can set filters for YouTube videos so that it's only child appropriate for a specific age. So there's many, many different options that can be utilized. Again, resource options for other mobile devices. So your Kindles, your iPads, your laptops. Look at individual apps. Know exactly what your children are utilizing. Check the privacy settings in each one of those, and explore built-in security features. Remember what you can do: connect, learn, and engage. Connect with your kids. Learn about the new technology that's out there. If we're not connecting, we're not learning, then we're behind the game on that. We need to make sure that we're having open communications with our children at all times, so that they know that they can trust us and come to us and talk about anything and not feel ashamed about it. And we need to learn about the terminology that's being used by our youth, the technology that's out there, the most popular apps that the youth are using. There's some research out there that says that we shouldn't be looking at the text messages that our children are sending. We shouldn't be reviewing that content because the children are feel their privacy is being invaded, and if that's the case, then they're going to seek another device to use, and they'll keep that secret. I say that if you're starting communication early and you have that open dialogue, and the child knows that that's the expectation from a very early age, that that's not going to be the case. And we need to engage. We need to engage our youth. So some of the activities and resources that are available at the NICNEC site at netsmartkids.org are activities, ebooks, games, and videos. Again, it's age appropriate for ages or grades K through 12. And NICNEC's Family Advocacy Division specializes in crisis intervention, peer support, mental health and community support, reunification, when we talk about our missing and exploited children and abductions, long-term emotional support, prevention strategies, much like this program here, and legal referrals. They have a plethora of resources. They are not a government agency. They are not a law enforcement agency, but they are connected with every criminal justice agency that's available, as well as private entities, and they're a great resource to use. So I thank you for your time. I hope that everyone had learned some information this evening about social media, how to protect our kids, what we should be looking for, and most importantly, the importance of opening that dialogue with our youth at an early age so that they can develop into healthy adults, maintain healthy relationships, and that they know that they can come to us for that support and guidance as they are progressing into their young adult lives.
Wow, thank you, Chuck Streightiff.